Hey guys, got some more footage from Mr. Strife. This time around, it's Titan War Finals for March 6th, 2016. I was about to say February again. And so he's potting up. He's over 800k physical attack with a T on and over 3 million HP. His defenses, I would say, considering his other stats, or even his HP, just given his attack stat, his other ones are sort of like, alright, they're good, but they're not like anything, as outrageous for, you know, the caliber of player he is. And that's very intentional on his part. He puts everything into attack. We see he has 6 strength tattoos. His tattoos are all maxed out, I think, or close to it. And then 2 defensive ones. So he isn't bothering with the survival path. He can't switch between setups or anything like that. And the reason why his stats go up so much here, why he's close to 900k physical attack now, and even more of everything else, is because on the right you see he has the level 3 inspiration. And I think eventually he bumps it up even to a level 4 inspiration. So inspiration in Titan War, not my favorite thing at all. I went out of my way to discourage him from doing it, but I think he really wanted to go for the win here, and so he felt like he needed to put in some of the inspirations, which for a win he probably does need to do it. But he's here with his in-game wife Tensy, and then Delita and Jassica. I don't know if they're married. I didn't. We might be able to notice whether they are or not later on. But between the other 3 that he's with, I think they're all around 5 to 6 million DR. I think that's what he said. Something like that. And so actually his team BR is relatively low compared to some of these other teams. So this bunch really needs to take all the wins in order to place first. I think in ties they probably will not fare that well. So here are some familiar faces from previous videos that I've had. So Muzin, probably the most familiar face, strength-wise, and then Teflon, and the name with a C that has so many consonants that I don't know how to pronounce it, seem familiar to me. Chop's Chop, though, is... I think that's a new face to Muzin running Titan War, I think. Because it doesn't look super familiar to me. This says hi old sport. Muzin is the namesake server for these guys should be Wartune 2, I think. So it has Lala, Dreamy, Big Bailey, Softy, a bunch of strong players from that server, and they have produced many big players, put it that way, and they were moved into Strife section. I'm very surprised that such an old server was moved into Strife section, which is in general has slightly younger servers, so I don't know what Wartune was thinking, but a bunch of servers were moved over there. This group, they have somebody using that skill that increases their awakening points, so they're ahead of Strife and the rest of his team in getting into Sylph mode. Strife's about to use Fatal Strike against DC Knight, who is, despite the name DC Knight, is a mage and has knighthood. And so DC Knight's shield passive procced, so she had, or he, I don't know, had a shield on when Strife was hitting him or her with Fatal Strike. I think had that Fatal Strike struck DC with no shield on, that Strife probably would have taken out DC and overall would have won this fight. But instead, Strife, DC was able to survive, get into Sylph mode, use the heal rune, and take Strife out. And I mean, that makes sense to me, because the longer a fight goes, I think, especially against teams with several strong players in them, and who have, you know, relatively big attack stats, and good reduce res and all of that stuff, Strife is going to struggle more. I mean, he doesn't struggle in general for the most part, but if he's going to struggle, that's when it's going to be. You know, his setup is so attack-based, and so, you know, it's meant to, you know, go boom, 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 everybody's dead within a very short period of time. And so I think the longer it draws out, the better of a chance people have. So, I mean, of course, there are probably exceptions to that rule. If he gets into Sylph mode and does something big with his Odin, who knows. but in general, I think it's not in his favor to let things go for too long. Here he goes into Sylph mode, goes for the heal rune rather than the Guardian rune, which, I mean, I guess that seems reasonable to me. I'm not sure if it was totally necessary. He could have gone Guardian and then gone to heal up with some of the Sylph skills. So here up against Big Bailey and Alvin. Again, as I was just mentioning, so these guys are actually from the same server as the group with Muzin in it, and so yeah, so they're producing plenty of strong teams in this cross server as well. Disappointing to see such strong players go into one of the other crossover sections. I would still say that mine's overall maybe the most competitive, you know, just the most huge BR players, but we're definitely, I feel like these two crossover sections are evening out at the top quite a bit. As far as the younger, I mean not younger players, but the lower BR players, because Strife section tends to be a little bit younger, I think overall they're not quite as strong, but yeah, both very, very competitive. Both, I don't really understand why we're split up, so I don't know. Maybe one day they'll finally just move all of us into Strife section, so we're just one big West Coast section again. No idea. So yeah, I mean, otherwise faring well. I'm not sure how I feel about Mars Will. There is, unless I'm mistaken, is there any knighthood skill where... No, that has to be Mars Will, right? It has to be. I wasn't looking at the animation. We'll see if somebody uses it again. So, Jassica goes straight for the Guardian rune, which makes perfect sense. Okay, so Tensy's the one dealing the shields, from what I can tell, and Deli is up front with Strife. I don't know. I probably would just have Strife tanking alone. I mean, there's not going to be an enormous amount of front row damage overall, I don't think. And there, Tensy has Mars Will, and so yeah, that was Tensy that was casting it. I don't know. I mean, Mars Will is one of those temperamental shields that it's like once upon a time it was really, really good and really OP because it was not working to description, and then they fixed it, and I mean, by fix I mean like nerfed it, and so now I feel sort of iffy about it. I mean, so many people have big AoEs, particularly, I mean, all of the knighthood setups have some sort of big AoE, I think. Do the knights have one? Maybe. But for sure, I mean, Mars Will is going to give 0 protection against archers and mages for the most part. So really, it's only something you would use against, I guess, people with Thor and people that have big knight skills. I guess the archers do have Fatal Strike, you know, one really, really big single target shot that Mars Will might help spread the damage, but overall would not be my choice of shield. I think Apollo shield is plenty enough. And so Strife, I mean, overall can clean up most of these groups with just cluster bomb and a fatal strike to basically clear everybody out. And I guess that's sort of what I suspected. Here we have it's another group from Wartune 2, I believe. Debowman, yeah, Debowman is definitely from the same server as Muzin and Lala and all of them. So these guys also in Warlords Hall, a considerably lower BR, so not faring too well. But so far that's 3 teams from that one server. And here we have Salander, Rira. So I think these guys are from Strife server. Actually, probably same guild. I think, yeah, these guys are also from Valinor. These are Strife's guildies. Rira actually holding up pretty well for a mage facing an archer with so much physical attack. Okay, that didn't quite survive the Delphic, but that's still big. Strife's asking for a scatter shot to get rid of this big shield, because it looks like, I think Nancy is probably the knight that put on that shield. So a knight with the defensive setup. But Strife finishes them off. Even so, I think that group had higher BR, so I think Strife ends up tied with them in wins and loses out by BR. I mean, we've seen Strife Chaos here a little bit. I am surprised that he hasn't been totally screwed by Chaos runes as much. Oh, more than what we've seen. I think I've seen him once with a Chaos. I mean, Tensy probably dealt with it with an E, you know, using the marriage rings to get rid of the Chaos. But for a team with absolutely no healing, I mean, they have all wind sylphs aside from Strife, who has Odin. They have no mages. So this is a team really, I mean, it's kill fast, you know, throw on some shields and stuff, but very, very little to non-existent healing here, so really a credit to how well they're doing. A lot of shields. So I think actually the weight of the BR, most of the stronger teams ended up on the beginning of the video. Seems like they're clearing through some of these groups rather quickly now. Have a mage here with knighthood, and mages. I mean, mages definitely have a physical defense problem, but it's hard to just say that because Strife is so OP that everybody's going to have a physical defense problem against him. But even against players who don't have as outrageous of an attack stat as Strife, I'm still feeling sorely inadequate as far as survival goes. So yeah, so knighthood is a hard problem to address. I think once we see dual res crystals, so being able to combine res crystals, sort of like dual gems and all that stuff, maybe we'll see some improvement in their survival. Right now, it just feels like kill or be killed. So, you know, we're not seeing much go to timer. I don't think we've seen a timer win, which I don't you know, expect timer wins out of Strife, but anyway, so they do quite well. They end up tying with a team that they beat, Nancy's party. The only group that their guildies lost to was Strife's bunch, and so their guildies take first place and they take second because this group's BR is lower than Nancy's party. But a big congratulations to them. I guess Valinor takes 1 and 2, which is very nice. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see anything else out of Strife, let me know, and I can, you know, puppy face him into seeing if that'll happen. Of course, within reason. And but anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Take care and have a very good day.